Okay, welcome. So I have an announcement, which is that I'm going to, starting today, there's a name change. Name change. The name of this meeting is changing to Relax Your Way to Health, Wealth, and Happiness, which I believe fits fits the fits what we're doing. It's clearer. It's clearer, I think. Now you might you might think, great, that sounds wonderful, or you might have all kinds of opinions or thoughts or judgments about that, and that's fine. So I want to tell you a story. This is a story that one of my teachers, Papaji, told. He told a lot of variations on this story. This is just one, same basic story. He would tell it a lot of different ways. So this is a story about a man who worked he worked by transporting bricks. So he would go to the kiln where the bricks were made, and he had a donkey, and he would load the donkey with the bricks, and then he would take them to the place where the bricks were being used. And as you can imagine, this was, it's menial labor. He was hard work, but he was not paid a lot. It was like 50 cents a day. Now, one day he was taking his donkey to the stream to drink, and the donkey's drinking the water, and the man looks down and he sees something that catches his eye, and he looks down at the water and he reaches down and he picks it up and he says, "Oh, what a nice rock. Very, very beautiful." So he ties a string to the rock and he ties it around the donkey's neck. It's like a necklace. Oh, it's very nice. Very nice for the donkey. Donkey looks very beautiful with this nice rock. So he continues doing what he does. He just goes back to the kiln, gets bricks, loads up the donkey, takes him to the job site. And he keeps doing this for some time. And one day, a diamond dealer comes into town and he sees the strangest thing. He sees this man taking his donkey around, with the donkey having the largest, most flawless diamond the man has ever seen. So he's shaking his head, just in awe and wonder at the sight that he is before him. He walks up to the man and he says, points to the diamond. He says, "How much for that?" And the man with the donkey says, $5, thinking that the diamond dealer is wanting to buy his donkey. And so the diamond dealer knows, this diamond is priceless. This is the most perfect diamond he's ever seen. It's the largest, most flawless diamond he's ever seen. He says, I to himself, he says, I don't even have the heart to rob this man for so badly. I can't let him part with it for only $5. He says, "I'll give you 100." And he's shocked. $100. It's just like, what do you know how much that is? Like more than a half the year's wages for me. He says, "Yeah, I hear, but here's $100." Okay. He takes $100, and diamond dealer takes the diamond off of the neck of the donkey and walks away. And the man is standing there puzzled. He says, aren't you going to take the donkey? You just paid me $100 for it." He says, No, you fool. He says, "I paid you $100 for this diamond. You have no idea what the value of this is. If you only had known, you would never have had to have worked another day in your life." So this story is like well, Papaji would often say, he'd say, call off the search. So we have this jewel, we have this diamond, we have this, we don't have it, we are it. We have it, it has us, but I'll say we have because it fits, it's easier to talk about that way. But we have this jewel of, it's priceless, it's incomparable, it is if we really truly recognize the value, then we won't suffer. We won't suffer even another moment. And by the way, well, I'll get to that in a moment. So we will never suffer if we really recognize this. Now, what do we do in these meetings? It's like we're taking the donkey to the stream over and over and over and over. And every time we go to the stream, it's like Groundhog Day, you know, it's like we go there and we're like, ooh, pretty rock. So to a certain degree, of course, we recognize it's pretty, it's attractive, it's nice, it's relaxing, it's pleasant, you know, it's very attractive, but then we don't understand or appreciate the true value of it, because what we do is we tie it around the donkey's neck. And then we go back to our old ways. So it's like, yeah, pretty rock. Oh, the donkey looks nice now. So the key is to recognize the true value of it. And that means to put it first and to trust in that completely. Because what we're doing is we're still taking our past identity and putting that first. We're still saying that's what's primary. All my ideas about myself, all of the circumstances and conditions that I believe about my life, that's first. And now I'm still setting about trying to solve my problems. So now it's like, pretty rock. It's like, this is a little distraction. Yeah, I can take a 5-minute break from my troubles, but by looking at the pretty rock, but then I'm back to my troubles, because we don't really understand the real value of it. If we put the jewel first, then we understand I cannot be touched. I cannot be touched. Nothing can touch me. So whatever comes is fine. Those thoughts, the thoughts of the past come, it's fine. It doesn't harm us. It doesn't harm us any more than going to a graveyard harms us, because it's dead. And you think about what's in the graveyard. You know, who's buried there? I'm sure there are saints buried in the graveyard, and there are people of terrible evil buried in the graveyard. But when you're in the graveyard, none of it matters. It doesn't matter to you. You go there, it doesn't matter. Hang out on the grave of a murderer, it doesn't harm you because it's dead. So this is the thing, is that all of these ideas of ourselves, all of the problems that we're so accustomed to believing in and putting first and trying to solve, those are dead. They're now, all we're doing is we're being spooked. They're ghosts. They don't have any substance. They're not real. They're just in our imagination. And meanwhile, we have this diamond, and the diamond is everything. There's nothing that this diamond is not. It if we really understand that, then we will not fear. We won't give any more power to what is dead. We won't give any more power to the ghosts. So this is why I'm changing the name to better reflect what we're doing here. So relax your way to health, wealth, and happiness. And I mean that seriously. So let's take a look at why this is useful, why it's true, why it's helpful. Okay, so in order to really do that, we want it to be experiential, not just more thinking. So the first step is to pause whatever is going on. Pause, just pause. So you notice now, in that pause, you notice how much activity there is, how much running and fighting there is, how much struggle there is. And maybe you recognize that right away, or maybe you think, oh, it's not so much struggle, or it's not so bad. But any amount of effort is too much effort. And it will hopefully be clear to you why that is in just a moment. So just be willing to drop all the effort. And if you would like, you're welcome to close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but closing your eyes can help in some ways. It can be useful to do it with eyes open sometimes as well. Eventually, we want to be able to do it with eyes open, but here when it's like practice training, if you want to close the eyes, that can be helpful. So notice the effort and just be willing to let go of the effort. Before you let go of the effort, it's not so clear, but once you let go of the effort, it becomes clear how unnecessary and painful it is. Finally, when we let go, finally we can relax. Finally, it's a huge relief. Just for this moment, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to understand it. I don't have to get anywhere. I don't have to protect myself. That's a big one. I don't have to be anyone. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything even to myself. What a relief that would be. So just give yourself that gift. Don't prove anything to yourself. And then you'll start to see how all the proving, how all the striving, all of that, it's all self-defense, but it's a false self-defense, meaning a defense of a false self. So in defense of an egoic self who wants to be right, wants to look good. So what we really want is something truly new and fresh. We're so tired of the old. Isn't that true? Just see how that's true. See how there's no way in which you can rearrange the old that will ever be satisfying. And then see how all of the effort that you've ever made or ever could make is only rearranging the old. So we want new, but all effort that we make blocks new because it keeps our focus on rearranging the old. So this is really important to see. When you see that all of the old will never satisfy, and you see that all your effort is merely rearranging the old, becomes obvious. You have to give it up. You have to stop. It's the only way. Now, when you really are willing to give up all of the pursuit of and all the effort, then one of two things is likely to happen. First, there's this possibility that you could just experience a kind of ease. You might find that it's just delightful. And if that's the case, that's wonderful. Another possibility is that you may encounter all of the discomfort that you've been seeking to avoid. Now, whether you're experiencing that now or not, it's useful to be aware of this, because you will, sooner or later, you will have that experience of you surrender, you stop trying, and then it seems like all hell breaks loose. Everything you just, it's like you're on fire, like your nerves are on fire, everything is irritating, everything is overwhelming, nothing seems right, nothing's okay. So there are a couple of ways you could look at this. One way is, and this is common, is you could say, this is bad. This is exactly what I'm trying to get rid of. Nothing's working. This is not working. I must be failing. Just another thing that doesn't work. So whether or not you're perceiving it that way now or not, again, it's useful to recognize that this is what can happen, because it will happen. Sooner or later, there will be some experience where you will feel so uncomfortable, and that thought will seem true to you in the moment, that this means that it's not working. I'm failing. This isn't working. Something is wrong. So it's helpful to have that recognition. This can and will happen, so that you're aware of that and you can be prepared. So the way to your own heart is guarded by these whatever we want to call them, these sensations. And this is what when you meet this, what you're encountering is your own, let's call it subconscious. So this doesn't, you can't understand it in conscious terms. You can't reason with it. You can't bargain with it. And you can't defeat it. So, this is like the Hydra. You cut off one head and 10 new heads grow back. There's no way to defeat it because it's operating on a totally different level than the conscious level. The rules are completely different. So if you try to defeat it, you will fail. But there's a secret here, which is that it points you to a discovery that's so obvious that you've overlooked it. And so this discovery is greater than defeating could ever be. So even if you were, it's impossible to defeat it, but even if you could defeat it, it wouldn't give you what you really want. In fact, what you really want is revealed to you when you allow it to point you in the right direction. And that right direction is to notice who is aware of all of this. This is something you could trivialize, but if you allow this to point you beyond the conscious and beyond the subconscious to what is beyond all understanding, okay. So we can look and discover what it is that's beyond everything that we've thought of ourselves, everything that we've thought, good or bad. But we can't get clear on that as long as we keep looking in the wrong direction. And so it's actually a great blessing, whatever is occurring. So if you have in some sense, and this is not me suggesting that you should strive to change your experience. So understand that. But if you are experiencing, or when you experience what you perceive in the moment to be something troublesome, uncomfortable, that is a great blessing. And the reason it's a great blessing is because you're out of your familiar territory. You've entered into this realm that is beyond the conscious. You're in this subconscious realm. You cannot win here. And so when you accept that as a blessing, necessarily it changes the way in which you look. Now, how can you do that? So whatever your present experience is, just for this moment, let go. Let go of everything that can be let go. Forget everything that can be forgotten. Don't reach for anything. Don't grasp for anything. Don't push anything away. Don't try to get it. Don't try to understand. Don't try to figure it out. Just what you'll see is if you're just watching, it unfolds for you. So this experience unfolds to the next experience, which unfolds to the next experience, which unfolds to the next experience. And each moment is that unfolding, and it's revealing to you right now what's next. So you never have to ask what's next. It's always here. It's always presenting itself. And it is as simple as just let it point you. So it's showing you what hurts. It's like the game of hot potato. I don't know if everybody knows that game, but you don't want to be caught holding a hot potato. So don't. But you see, what we do most of the time is we fight with it. So right now, whatever your experience is, just don't fight with it. Just notice it. Notice that whatever you think about it, you might think it's good, you might think it's bad, you might think you like it, you might think you don't like it. Whatever the case, just notice that it hurts. Notice that even if you think this is good, actually it hurts. And the reason it hurts, and you can just look to see why this is so, you can see that this is true, is that you're still not there. You're still not where you think you need to be. You're still not able to maintain it. It still requires effort. And there's no end in sight for that. Never going to be an end to that. And it's painful. It's really painful. It's absolutely painful. It's the most painful thing. So allow that and then drop it. And then whatever is next, drop that. And see that it's not for you to work it out. It's not your job. Just had the wrong idea of yourself. You thought that was your job. You thought that your life was your job, that you had to do it. You had to figure it out. So keep letting go of everything that can be let go. And even if what comes is, this isn't fair, when will it end? How do I make it stop? Just let go. Let it be. Don't do anything. Don't push it away. Don't fight with it. And you can notice the gripping, the squeezing, the armoring, all of those variations on a theme. And you can see how that superficial level really is superficial. There's the superficial level of all the thought about it, all of the ideas about it. And you see how that's never gotten you anywhere. And then underneath that is the sensation, which is the most unbearable thing to you, which is why habitually we pop back up to the superficial. This is a distraction. But you let yourself be sinking into what's deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, as though you might drown. Don't resist it. Don't squirm. Don't look away. See, any effort is too much effort. That's why this is relax your way to health, wealth, and happiness. Because you have to relax so profoundly that you're making no effort. Can't even make any effort to relax. You start to realize just how much effort you were making before. You were even trying to relax. You were trying to be good. You were trying to get it right. All the effort, so much effort, constant monitoring. Am I there yet? What about now? What about now? What about now? Am I good enough yet? Did I fix it yet? Am I there now? What about now? Constant monitoring, all trying. So we're flipping it on its head. Now you just let all of it keep pointing you because you just keep surrendering. Just keep surrendering, letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. And paradoxically, what starts to happen, and this is what I was pointing to earlier, is that even though in some sense your focus, it remains on what it is that you're letting go, because you keep having to be present to what's here now. You can't cling to anything from the past. You just keep being here and now. It requires a very, very unrelenting presence. And yet, as I said, paradoxically, it starts to point, or you start to turn in a sense and discover that there's something that is beyond your idea of yourself. So the one who thinks that he or she or it is doing the letting go, the one who thinks that it is the one present, the one that thinks it is aware, that also starts to unravel, and you start to become aware that that was just something else, another burden, another unnecessary effort, something else that you were clinging to. And even that needs to be let go. Even that has to be surrendered. Even that is too much effort. So you just keep letting go, and it keeps turning you and turning you and turning you, and you're turning into yourself and into yourself and into yourself until what's left, what's here. And you cannot name it. If you can name it, if you can think about it, if you can understand it, if you can do anything with it, it's too much. It's too much effort, too much burden. So now I want to start to invite us to look at this in a integrative way. And this is what I think is often where there's a gap, because we keep finding ourselves in the story of our lives. So you'll notice the story of your life keeps coming back. And as I said earlier, most of the time, what the fatal mistake we make is that we put that story of our life first. We make that primary, and then we try to fit everything else around that. And when we make that first, we assume that that's the foundation upon which everything rests, that that's the most real of real. So if I say, who are you? You say, well, I'm this person. And then you say, I had an experience. this person, had an experience where I realized that I was not that person, but it was that person who had that experience. You see, that's what we always come back to, is I'm this person. That's the primary thing that we keep coming back to, and everything else revolves around that. And then we wonder, why do we keep on suffering? Why are we so unhappy? Why do we still experience so much pain? Why is that? So practical, integrated application is really important. So health, wealth, and happiness. If we don't experience health, wealth, and happiness, really, truly, if we don't experience that at all levels of our experience as the truth, then we will keep on making that fatal mistake. We'll keep on suffering because we'll say, I'm lacking. If I don't experience health, wealth, and happiness, then of course I will keep seeking for it. So we have, but here's the problem, is that if we're following an outside in approach, which is what most of us do, because we say, I am this person. So the person is on the outside, and I have external measures by which I can determine my health, wealth, and happiness. Then we keep ourselves on that hamster wheel, forever going round and round and round in pursuit, seeking for fulfillment, seeking for okayness, seeking for health, wealth, and happiness. And of course, we always come up short. We never achieve it, because that outside in approach is doomed to fail, because we can't, because actually health, wealth, and happiness, or I could say at the heart of that, at the core of that, is total fulfillment. Never can be had outside. It never can be had outside. It's always an inner experience. So if we're chasing after that outwardly, then it's doomed to fail. But we don't know that. And a large part of that is because we don't even know that we're following an outside in approach. We think oftentimes that we're following an inside out approach, even though we're following an outside in approach. And so here we have to look and see again, what is it that is really real? Who am I really? Now, if I am this body, if I am these thoughts, if I am these circumstances, if I am these feelings, if I am these emotions, if I am the passing momentary whims, if I am all this transitory stuff, if I identify as that, then all of that is on the outside. So if I'm making okayness or fulfillment dependent on any of those things, then I'm following an outside in approach, and I'm dooming myself to fail, because I'm pinning everything on what never even is. So you could say, hey, look at a cloud and you say, oh, look, it looks like a car. But it's not a car, even though it looks like a car. So in the same way, you can say, well, I know that I am these feelings because I feel these feelings. It's like looking at the cloud and saying it looks like a car. I feel these feelings does not mean that I am these feelings. I feel these feelings. But here's how it is that we fool ourselves over and over and over and over and over, is that we don't actually feel the feelings, we avoid them. And by avoiding, we generate all forms of misery. So this is really, I think, easiest to see in terms of health and happiness. Maybe wealth, it's a little more challenging. We won't get into that in detail today. But with health and happiness, it's pretty easy to see, particularly if you have any familiarity with the work of John Sarno, because he pointed out really clearly, this is a guy who was a medical doctor, saw for 50 years thousands upon thousands of patients, and with a unbelievable long-term cure rate of 98%. And keep in mind, these are people who oftentimes they had had multiple back surgeries. They had had pain for decades that was unresolved by those surgeries. By the way, the cure rate, long-term cure rate from those surgeries, when there are follow-up studies on those, 1%. So John Sarno completely flipped that around, 98% long-term cure rate. And the basis of his work is that all pain, all chronic pain that doesn't have an organic cause, is the result of suppressed emotion, primarily, in his opinion, rage, but it doesn't matter. Suppressed emotion. We refuse to feel our feelings. We're no longer contracted. We're no longer fighting, which is all miserable. Also, we're offering compassion and grace to this feeling that's been so unresolved, that really wants to be resolved. And that's the big secret. We want something flashy and whiz bang and, you know, send your message to the universe and get $1 million in the mail tomorrow. But this is the actual secret. And this is a skill that will truly, it's so simple. It's so simple. And I'm convinced that it is the one authentic way to health, wealth, and happiness at all levels. But it's an inside out approach. So rather than saying, I'm going to send my message to the universe and I'm getting $1 million in the mail tomorrow as external proof of my abundant nature, we're instead realizing that we can never overcome our limited imaginations by trying to layer on more imagination. Instead, we need to see through the false imagination and get to the fundamental abundance. That fundamental abundance, which is so abundant that it can have compassion and space for everything. So when we are in touch with that fundamental abundance, then naturally we are at our core aware of our fundamental well-being, our fundamental wealth, fundamental health, fundamental happiness. And from the inside, we then allow that to express outwardly. It's not because we need those things externally to prop us up as confirmation, but naturally through the process, what happens is layer by layer, all of the unnecessary effort that stands in the way of the natural expression of that health, wealth, and happiness is dissolved. So it's an inside out approach. We completely have no concern about what's happening externally because we don't need that confirmation. It naturally comes in time through continuing to come into contact and recognize our fundamental abundant nature by giving space and compassion for everything. Through that, all that is false is dissolved, and then our natural abundance shines forth. So I hope that you have enjoyed the first of the newly retitled meetings. And I have an intention to open these meetings to some more people, so I'll be making an announcement by email about that soon. So thank you for joining me, and we'll stay on for a short Q&A today. So I'm going to end this recording now.